Recently, a really good friend of mine had a project that he thought was under control, that he thought everyone knew the responsibilities, and he thought everyone knew the deadline, and it turned out they didn't. The day before the deadline, it became apparent that everything was not complete and that everybody didn't understand what needed to be done or by when. And they commenced to have a mad scramble that day before, all the way to midnight, trying to tie out all the loose ends. And ultimately, they failed. They didn't get the project done. And embarrassed, they had to go to the client the next day and say, we didn't make it. In fact, it took 3 more days before everything was complete. 3 days after they had committed to being done. So, you don't want things like this to happen, but they're going to happen. So what can you learn from this situation? Well, there's 3 things I'd like to point out. The first is emotional control. One thing that my friend did really well was not lash out at the team. He said he was so tempted, especially that day before the deadline, especially as the day wore on, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Everybody was tired and frustrated. He just wanted to start accusing people and lashing out. Why didn't you get this done? How did you let this happen? How could this get to this point? What's wrong with you? But he said he realized that, one, that negative energy wasn't going to help. People weren't going to be more motivated by him lashing out at them, and it wasn't going to get something accomplished. He said, 2, he didn't want to destroy relationships or damage relationships with people he was going to have to continue to work with. He was just going to have to undo all that damage down the road. So why even start? And 3rd, he realized he would just regret it, that he was going to say things in the heat of the moment that he really didn't mean and be unkind in a way he didn't want to be. And so thankfully, he held it together and had emotional control and did not lash out. And that's a key. When you're in a situation that's high stress and it feels like it's someone else's fault and somebody should have done something different and you're mad, it's tempting to lash out, but don't. Just don't. It's not good for you as a leader, and it's not going to help your team. So that's number 1. Number 2, have an after action or a post-mortem type meeting. And as painful as it is, a week later, pull everybody together virtually or in person and break down what happened. Guys, how did we get to the point where this and this and this wasn't done and this wasn't communicated and you didn't know or you didn't know what needed to happen? How did we get here? And the key in this meeting is to use the phrase next time rather than should have. Don't say, and don't let other people say, we should have or you should have, worse, and be negative, because see, that focuses on the past. You can't do anything about that. It's over. All you can focus on is next time. Next time, we're going to have a checklist. Next time, we're going to have a daily check-in meeting at the end of the day. Next time, we're going to have a written list, and it'll be visible to everybody. Next time, whatever changes you're going to make. Next time, we're going to do it this way to avoid the problems we had this time. But don't say should have, because should have is in the past and negative, and it's not going to help. And 3rd, as I gently reminded my friend when we were talking about this, extreme ownership. Jocko Willink wrote a great book called Extreme Ownership. If you haven't read it, you need to. And if you have read it, read it again. Extreme Ownership. And as the title implies, the key concept is to own the entire thing. And literally, my friend was the leader on this project. And I said, you're responsible. This is your fault. You can look and say, well, this person didn't do this and this person didn't do that, and they should have known, but it didn't get done. And it was your project. You let them down. You let the client down. You failed. You need to own that. And the good news is, and Jocko points this out in the book, is you only control you. And so if it's not your fault, well, then it could happen again. And what are you going to do about it? I don't know. Not my fault. That's not going to help, especially as a leader. So what you need to do is take extreme ownership and say, yeah, this was totally my fault. Literally, totally my fault. And I need to do something different. Not in a heroic sort of, it's all my fault and now I'll need to do everything next time. It's not like that. It's a humble, I own the problem and I'm going to do something different next time to fix the problem and to not let this happen again. I'm not going to let you down, team. I'm going to change what I did so that we can be better and I can set you up to win. This time, I didn't set you up to win. That's my fault. And be humble about it and be sincere about it. And the team will gravitate to that and they'll rally around that and they'll help you help them to win next time. But you've got to own it. You can't blame other people. And so even in the after action report, if you can stay on the track of saying next time, not should have, If you don't own your part of it, and ultimately if you're the leader, own the whole failure, well, your team's going to lose respect for you, and you're really not going to solve the problem, and you're really not going to put things in place. So to revisit, when you get in these kinds of situations, 3 things. 1, retain emotional control. Don't lash out at your team. The negative energy isn't helpful. You're going to regret it later, and you're just going to damage relationships that you're going to want to rebuild later. So don't go negative in the moment. 2, afterward, make sure you break down what happened and really dig in with the mindset of next time, not should have. And 3rd, as a leader, extreme ownership. It was your fault. Own it humbly, and say, next time I'm going to do something different. But this was my fault, guys. I didn't set you up to win. And then next time, set your team up to win.